Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 335. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is with me. Once again, back together. You got the dream team.
Yes.
Kicking it the palatial grounds of the Casa de Cold Coffee on a Thursday. Early evening, late afternoon.
Yeah, late afternoon.
Late afternoon, doing a little day drinking, as you do. A couple frosty beverages. Award-winning Pabst Blue Ribbon being shared in the 16-ounce tall boys. Got a little extra.
Big boy glass, big boy cans.
I love it.
They're not the 40-ounces that I saw.
You're teasing these 40-ounce PBRs.
They put on their Twitter, they were advertising 40 ounces, and they were apologizing that their distro kind of blows. But they're like, we're going to put a map together so you can see where it is, so you guys can try to find it.
I
was like, bro, it's Las Vegas. Come on, like, bring us the 40-ouncers. I grew up drinking 40 ounces.
I grew up drinking 40s.
Everybody drinking 40s.
If you think I'm too old to still be drinking a 40, you are incorrect. At 43 years old, I would still grab a 40-ounce Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Well, and the best part of it is, like, you have to be able to drink a 40.
Yes.
Like, because if not, the cool thing about a 40, old school, you can put the cap back on, you put it in your fridge or whatever.
No.
That's the thing. It's
sir,
like you got to drink it, because if not,
throw that
gets
lid
warm.
away.
It gets warm as hell because you got to get through 40 ounces of beer. And usually, the stereotype is you're just chilling, just palming your 40, just talking the shit. How good would that be to be talking MMA shit and then palming a 40-ounce award-winning PBR?
Come on, Pabst Blue Ribbon, get us those 40 ounces. And let me just say, I'm just going to preemptively say this. If you're the kind of guy that puts your lid back on the 40 and puts it in your fridge, you ain't my kind of guy. You ain't my friend. We could be acquaintances. We can say hi to each other. We don't have to be rude to each other. You know what I mean? But we're not kicking it together. If you're gonna screw a lid back on and throw that back in there.
Are you hiding that beer behind the milk, bro? No.
No, sir. Once the 40 ounce has been opened, the 40 ounce is to be consumed. It's just that simple.
What's the 40 ounce that you remember the most, like as younger, that you just always like had?
Well, I mean, we where I grew up, we had like the OE and the St.
Old English, yep.
Yeah.
Colt 45.
Colt 45.
It was always like malt liquor.
Yeah, definitely
was always
the malt
like
liquor.
The malt liquor. I think there was a point where even when Bud Light and some of those guys got it, it didn't feel right getting those, because we used to always get like a 12-pack or a case or whatever. But yeah, for some reason it was always the malt liquor in the 40 ounces.
God bless.
I know, but now if I know I can get me some PBR in the 40 ounce, bring the 40 ounces. I will adjust the levels in the fridge so I can put a 40 in there. Move the shelves.
We will fit the tray structure around the 40 ounces.
If I have to take one shelf out just to make more room, I will make it out.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, make it happen. Hey, we need it right now, man. We're getting this one last pass of summer, right, man? It seemed like we were starting to ease on into the fall a little bit, but summer has reared its ugly head for one little last run at us. And
I'm glad it is, though, because I've been swimming more and more lately. I feel like now it's the end of the year where finally the pool looks good again. They cleaned out the filter, so it's running like a champ.
The staff finally got on it. You had to crack the whip with the staff.
I hopped in there the other day, and it was kind of cold. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, man, please, son, come back. So the fact that it warmed up a little bit, I'm happy. So it's the part of the year where you squeeze those you squeeze the last days out of it.
I mean, man, I'm ready for fall. Give me the fall, man. It's getting hot, man. It's so out there. I'm trying to go out there. My kid's finally starting soccer. We wanted to start a year earlier, but with the pandemic and everything, leagues were canceled. So we're finally starting soccer. We get out there, and it's still 105 degrees at night for practice, and I'm ready for that cool weather to roll in.
Is he signed with the Premier League yet?
Not quite yet. We'll make it there. I will say though, man, my boy made me proud last night. He hasn't really done team sports. He's done martial arts training for years, and we started on all that, but we hadn't really gotten a chance to do team sports. And I said we were going to start with soccer right when the pandemic started. We had to put it off a year. So anyway, he's finally starting. So I also decided to introduce him to a little bit of FIFA on the PlayStation. Now that he's playing a little bit, I figure, you know what? He loves playing video games. I'm like, if you enjoy playing this video game, I just think you're going to pick up a little bit of soccer strategy, right? A little bit of soccer culture, a little bit. We've been going to the Las Vegas Lights games out here, which is fun. We're actually going Friday night.
I don't know if anybody's watched John's pictures of going to the Lights game. He doesn't go to the normal, like a soccer other fan. He don't sit in the stands.
Sir.
He sits in a baby pool. He's got his feet in a baby pool on the field.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's the best it's the best sporting experience in the world. So listen, for $50, for $50. Now you have to buy game tickets too, but you can get game tickets for
That's not part of the 50?
No. But you can get game tickets for as cheap as $5. So you can find cheap game tickets. So for $50, you can reserve.
So it doesn't matter what
doesn't
level
matter
of
what
tickets.
That's right.
Oh, so you could buy like the cheapest
ticket to get in.
Okay.
But then for $50, they set up there's 8 kiddie pools sitting pitch side. I mean, you're literally
only 8, and you always get
2 yards away.
It's like the first question.
You know what I'm saying?
You roll up there like, oh, sir, we saved the first pool for you.
Pitch side pool. You can bring 4 people down. So you can have as many as 4 people in there. We only use 3, obviously, because it's just me, my wife, my son. And you can bring your own chairs. You bring your own chairs. So like we bring like the little folding chairs or whatever.
Can you drink on the field? Because you're on the field.
You can drink right there.
Wow.
I'm yelling at the linesman. I'm like, you saw that? Call that. You saw. I can see it right here. I know you saw it. Oh,
kick your feet out at them.
It's the best. Las Vegas Lights is so fun. If anybody ever comes to Las Vegas and wants to see Las Vegas, I tell you what I haven't done that they do. See, they do all kinds of stuff. The Las Vegas Lights, they have this. It's the coolest thing. If you have a Toyota vehicle, you can. So on one side of the pitch is where the pools are. If you have a Toyota vehicle, you can park your car on the field on the other side of the pitch. Literally,
any kind of car.
Any kind of. It has to be a Toyota. It has to be a Toyota.
But not like a Toyota truck that you can open up like the back end.
You can do a Toyota truck. There's some Toyota trucks, but you can any kind of Toyota because it's Findlay Toyota that sponsors them.
So some dude rolls out with his Camry and he's just chilling.
Just roll right there. You can literally park right behind the benches and watch the game there. But they have another ticket that I've been kind of wanting to use, but I haven't really. They have one ticket. It's $50, and you get to sit in because it's the old Cashman Field, right? The old baseball stadium that they've converted to a soccer field. You get to sit in what was the old press box, so it would be behind home plate.
Yeah.
So it's indoor, it's air conditioning, it's $50, and it's all you can drink.
Oh, good Lord! I'm surprised you haven't ditched the family to go.
I know. I've been thinking about it.
Honey, I'll be back in 2 hours.
And
by the way, we're lifting home.
That's it. I'm telling you, I love going to Las Vegas Lights games. It's so fun. It's cheap, man. It's fun, and I love soccer. So, getting my kids started on soccer a little bit. And last night we had Tom to play one game of PlayStation before he had to go to bed. And I asked him what he wanted to play. Normally we get together and we play Fortnite. He plays on his Switch. I play on the PS5. But he was like, "Can we play a game of FIFA?" My son wanted to play a game of FIFA instead of a game of Fortnite, and it just welled up the emotion in me. It welled up the pride in me. I'm like, he's grabbing a hold of this soccer thing. He likes it. So
yeah,
it was good. It was fun. So anyway, that's what's going on outside. I will say, talking about having a good day and fun times and all this, I want to share just a quick little story about my day and how it's not going so great. I don't know if you've ever done this. Probably. Well, actually, I know you haven't done this in a long time based on the grizzly beard that you've been sporting over the last couple of years. But I cut my nose shaving.
Oh, good.
Just a little middle part right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a little shadow.
Yeah,
but
no. I earlier today I was shaving and went up there to get the mustache whiskers and went a little high with the blade and just sliced open that little center part of my nose.
Wow.
That's pretty embarrassing. I just want to share that with everybody.
I wouldn't have noticed if you didn't.
All
say
right,
anything.
good. I'm glad to hear that because I feel super self-conscious about it because anything
so
around
fresh?
your nose,
what if it
feels
heals tomorrow and it's more worse? It's
like
more
a dark
pronounced.
red scab.
We'll be at the
across
weigh-ins.
there.
I'm like, bro, what's wrong with your nose?
Oh.
What's that on your lip?
Embarrassing. Who cuts their nose shaving? John Morgan cuts his nose shaving. All right, before we get into MMA, can we just say
your first time shaving?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
first time.
Yep. Sorry.
Still learning how to use this razor thing.
Just got through puberty. 43. Oh, kid was asking me the other day, "What's puberty?" I'm like, oh, jeez. All right. Anyway,
yeah. Where did he hear the term?
I don't know. I think somebody
somebody online probably. Does he online with people?
No. Online, we don't let him talk online. Game chat only. Game chat only. He knows if he's having not game chat, party chat only, where you're only talking with your friends.
Oh,
he knows
I was gonna say because that shit.
Not random
he's
internet.
He's gonna hear all kinds of shit on there.
Nah, no random internet talk, man. He's too young for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's puberty? That was great. Fatherhood's fun. Hey, before we get into MMA, can we just say it's the summer of punk? It's the summer of punk over at AEW. CM Punk is back. I just want to throw it out there, man. I have not watched wrestling since I was a little kid, and I actually Well, to be honest with you, I still haven't watched wrestling. I watched CM Punk's return, his announcement last Friday, and I just want to say how happy it made me, man. I have really gotten to like that guy working with him at CFFC, and to see the love that the wrestling world still has for him. Because all I really knew was the MMA world. I didn't know wrestling world CM Punk, so I didn't really know, how kind of loved he was. All I saw was the MMA version of CM Punk, which everybody pooped on him all the time. You know what I mean? It just seemed like the easy thing to do was the hate on CM Punk. I always personally said, even before I knew the guy, that I thought the way he handled it was the right way. He always said, hey, I'm not coming here to say I'm the best in the world. I'm just coming here to do this. I enjoy mixed martial arts, and I get an opportunity to fight in the UFC, and it's a unique opportunity, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to see how it goes. And obviously it didn't go very well for him, but I always hated the hate that he got. And since I've gotten to know him more, then I really hated the hate that he got, because I like him. He's a good dude behind the scenes. And, man, to see the popularity that the wrestling world had for him, man, the sold-out crowd chanting his name, man.
He certainly didn't miss a beat when it came to getting on the mic and doing this thing,
Right.
And I'm sure it'd be one thing if he didn't wrestle that whole time and then come back. I bet he would have been a lot rustier.
Right.
But the fact that he's been calling shows in between, I bet kept him sharp in that aspect where his mind still was able to work and pull that sort of stuff out.
Definitely a skill, right?
It is a skill. I mean, to be able to do it well takes a lot of practice. And, I mean, he was always good. I mean, it wasn't like I extensively watched a lot of his stuff in the past, but he always was a good talker on the mic. So it was cool. I mean, it was neat to see him in there and kind of sitting down up there, kind of just handling the crowd. And the crowd loved it. I mean, it was funny seeing their faces. It seemed to them like it was important for them to see something. Because I mean, it's like one of those things. I mean, I think to go watch wrestling, you have to hop in on the fun. You jump in with the story, and you dive in with both feet, and you want to believe, and you accept this stuff.
That's what I'm starting to learn. It's kind of like watching a movie or a TV, right? Where you just suspend your disbelief for a little bit, right? You just go.
Like if you go to live theater. I mean, when you see this guy up there standing and he's holding a skull and he says, this is, it's Hamlet and he's playing whatever. You understand, but he's not really in a castle somewhere holding a real human skull or whatever. There you have to, sort of suspend your belief in reality and just sort of jump into it. And so I love seeing all these fans just getting into it, and then him bringing back a lot of memories that they had. And now for them to get to see that moment where he's jumping back in, that doesn't happen often. So everybody there was really, really appreciative. So it was kind of cool. Just for me, not really having an extensive history with him or a relationship, but seeing him from his MMA days, the few times I've seen him talk, it's cool to see somebody that adored, if adored's the right
I think
word,
so. I think it
from
is.
the fans, So it was really, really cool. So I was happy for him.
I was too, man. I enjoyed watching. I will say this: I did keep the show on after his segment ended. It didn't really quite hold my attention. I'm not all in.
I wonder if it's the episode I have taped, because I tried watching because was it 2 episodes ago?
So he's done 2 episodes ago, I think. So on last Friday is when he originally came, and I think Wednesday of this week he did another appearance in Milwaukee.
So I maybe have the one Wednesday, because the last episode before that I had saved, maybe I didn't look at the date right, because I watched the whole thing. I'm like, when's Punk coming? When's Punk coming? He didn't. I was like, did I delete the wrong fucking episode?
It was cool. On the Friday one, they led the show with him. It just started right away. It was like boom, let's not play around, this isn't happening. Let's go straight to it. It was cool to see. Like I said, I didn't really. What I'm trying to tell people is we're not about to launch the Wrestling Roadshow and get all in. I'm not there yet.
Aren't we?
But I did.
Breaking news.
I did enjoy seeing my man CM Punk. And it's funny. I've had a couple people ask me did you really know? Because we were kind of cracking jokes and have stuff. But I really didn't know. I will say that CM Punk is such a professional. He wouldn't ever tell us. Actually, I never asked him directly, just because I didn't want to put him in a difficult position. But I would kind of throw little hints out there, and it was funny. But he never came straight out and said, "Yes, I am coming back to wrestling." So I still had my doubts. But I guess there you go. That's part of the suspending the disbelief and having some fun with it. I could have probably asked him dead on, but I kind of wanted to play along with the ride. But anyway, I just wanted to give a shout out. I really do like CM Punk. And listen, as far as I know, I know he's going to be at CFFC 100, which is September 16th. in Tampa, Florida. I believe he'll be at CFC 101, which we actually just lost our main event at CFFC 101, which sucks. But it sucks because the reason we lost the main event is because somebody else got signed to the Contender Series, which is awesome. You love seeing people get that next. You love seeing people get that shine and take that little move up to the next step. But anyway, as far as I know, he's still going to continue to work with us at CFFC. So he'll be juggling the two positions back and forth. So happy to see that for CM Punk, and I'm happy to keep working for him or with him, I should say. Busy day today, by the way. Even though technically it was an off day for me, I actually jumped in this morning, helped out covering the Nevada State Athletic Commission meeting this morning. Just want to make a quick mention. I know it's not the most exciting stuff, but Nevada State Athletic Commission meeting, I don't want to give them a ton of grief because they have done the right thing, and they have said we're no longer going to continue testing for marijuana. I take that back. They are going to test for marijuana, but they're only going to collect it as data, and they're not going to punish anybody if they determine there's marijuana usage among fighters, which I like. I've long said I don't think it should be a banned substance. It's not a performance-enhancing substance. Anybody you ask will say, if my opponent is high when they come to the cage, like, let them be. Now, they are not going to allow people to come high. They're going to say that if you're impaired, you will not be able to perform, and that's a fighter safety thing, and that's fine. But bottom line is there's no reason to test for marijuana, and they are going to stop punishing fighters for marijuana usage. But I just want to give them a little, just a little jab. Mm-hmm. I don't want to pick on them too bad, but I want to give them a little jab because they've done the right thing, but they're still punishing people who they tested before the decision was made. And I think that's a little bit silly. Why not just go ahead and retroactively wipe out? So today, and listen, part of it may be because it's guys that we happen to like, with Justin James and Yancy Medeiros. They were the two that got popped today. And it wasn't bad. It was a 4.5-month suspension, which isn't the worst ever. It was about a 10% fine from what I can gather based on the values that were given. So it's not the worst ever. But come on, man. If you're already saying we're not going to punish guys for marijuana use anymore, why are we still punishing people that had positive testing? And, we're just about done with it because at this point we're starting to get into the part where, they've passed that date. But there are still a couple cases left with people who tested positive for marijuana that are still going to face fines even though the change has been made. So I think the last one that we'll see, I believe, is Chris Barnett. So he was popped when he stepped in on short notice and fought against Ben Rothwell, and he's still got to face the music, so to speak. So I don't know. I just want to mention it because I think it sucks. And so if you're wondering, hey, I thought, why did I see that headline that somebody got suspended for marijuana use? That's what you saw because they didn't go back and retroactively change anybody that was already had a pending case.
That's a never-ending slippery slope.
It just seems stupid to me, though.
Especially that close. But I get it. I get both sides because, one, you're like, okay, we realized that was stupid and it wasn't doing anything. But in the same sense, when's enough? At that point in time, I get their point where they're, at that point, it was illegal. They had no idea that they were going to change their mind a week or 2 weeks later or something like that. So judgment doesn't change the fact that they did wrong at the current set, but it does sort of suck. That's always been one that we thought sucked anyways. It's not like you're taking steroids or something that's going to enhance your lung capacity. If anything, I would think it would degrade your performance. And if anything, you should get fucking bonus points if you're going to be dumb enough to go out there completely high and fight. But yeah, it's shitty, but I get it too. But also these are when it boils down to bureaucrats, they don't do it full time. They get together every once in a while and do this. The amount of work it would take to even if they wanted to try to retroactively go back, even if they set up a process where it's like, okay, hey guys, fill out this form, apply, label, file your appeal. Then they're going to have somebody that read that appeal, and then it's going to have to go to something else. I just don't think they have the mechanisms in place to do it, and it would never end.
Damn your logic, cold coffee. Yeah. Damn your accurate logic that is 100% true.
It does suck because, like you said, Yancy. I love Yancy. I think any fighter that's been dinged for that, it just sucks. But At least now it's done.
Yeah.
Now it's done. So we know going forward, nobody's going to be
getting there. We're almost done.
We're on the right path.
Another one that got the short end of the stick, I thought, was Juan Camilo Renderos. Same thing. Now his had the added test of not just marijuana but also cocaine was in his system as well. Well,
he gets bonus points for being cool.
He definitely had a great week. It is funny.
A really good time.
So here's the funny thing about Juan Camilo Renderos. If you remember, Juan Camilo Renderos was the one that stepped in on Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
So he stepped in the evening of the weight cut as it was going on. I was like, I'm in, and so he ends up getting
kite.
Yeah, well that's the thing.
High as a fucking kite.
He's
like, should I? Let me talk it over with myself. Hey, what do you think, self? What do you think, self? I think it's a good idea. So do I. Hey, let's sign real quick.
He's like, dude, I'm cutting weight right now. What are we doing? Oh, yeah. And I feel bad for Juan Camilo because like that's your foray into the. This is your reputation now in the UFC, but it's like, yeah, it's not like you pop for 14 different kinds of steroids. Like, and hey man, you're a dude that was having a good time before you debuted.
That's it. You know, I mean, really, honestly, like, who's upset about it? I'm not upset about it.
No.
I don't think anything less about the guy either. Guy was having fun. He was partying, whatever. He certainly wasn't hurting me by doing coke the night before. Even if he fights a guy the next day, who wants to fucking fight after you're coming down from a night of partying?
Right?
Like,
I haven't slept in 37 hours.
That's just hurting yourself as well. I mean, like, he's probably got an opponent out there that will say, "Oh, dude's gonna party before he comes in and fights me."
Let's go.
Cool. Come on in.
Let's
you
go.
Know?
Last thing from Nevada State Athletic Commission, Rob Font was cleared of wrongdoing in Nevada. He had been already cleared by USADA. Same thing. It's an interesting case, man. He had this metabolite in his body that came from a performance-enhancing, a banned substance. But it turns out that due to some research that had been done in some other cases in other sports, they found out that there's this material in a lot of cosmetic. It's a preservative in cosmetics, and it's in like. I was talking to Jeff Davitsky about it. I think it's been identified on like 1,200 products or something insane like that. But this thing just happens to break down in your system to the exact same metabolite as this other banned substance. And so basically they were able to determine that, hey, man, and they say it's because Rob Font was so diligent about, like, he kept track of any substance that he used. He kept purchase receipt. Everything that they tell you to do that nobody does, he did it all.
Wow.
Anything that was applied to his body, consumed, he kept receipts, took pictures, and when it came time, he was like, he gave them all the data, and they're like, you're not going to believe this, but yeah, it's this stuff right here.
The skincare product you use right here.
Yeah, and so absolutely
crazy.
No wrongdoing, and they couldn't do it.
That's a good lesson right there.
It's a great lesson.
I was going to joke and say every fitter is going to be like, hey, bro, what's the name of that product you use? But good for him. If there's a lesson out of it,
that's
keep track of your
They
shit.
tell you, keep
Who
track of it.
Who thinks about keeping a list of the skincare or
everything.
whatever?
But they tell you anything that you apply to your body, anything that you ingest, keep a list of it, and he's done all of it. They also tell you, like when you get done with supplements or whatever, keep a little bit in there, like keep
like a
3
test sample,
like exactly like a B. That way, if you're well, I already went through that, just store that. That way, if they want to go test that, they can test that rather than finding a lot maybe that it came from. Keep just a little bit of that supplement in there so they could go test it.
That's a good idea.
It's great advice.
Wow.
I thought it was cool to see, like, Rob Font did all the stuff you're supposed to do.
Even if it's just for that fight camp or right around that fight, when you know the testing's done, then I'm sure you can dispose of it once you're set and good.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep a little box. Just maybe a box that has like your little vials of whatever or something and a list of everything. And then when it's done, put it in the garage till you know you're good or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So they're actually going to change.
Him.
They're going to end up changing a rule in Nevada. They couldn't do it today because of the way that, everything has to be done legally. They put that they were addressing the situation for him, not their policy. So because of the way they wrote the agenda, they can only address him. But what they're going to do is they're going to raise the threshold of that particular metabolite higher, because that's the thing you hear about is the testing is so good now. As the science gets better and better,
makes it harder to hide it.
It's the thing that I think a lot of people didn't really want to hear, because we really started talking about with John Jones and the picograms. You know how people feel about John Jones. They're like, I don't want to hear this. But when you really hear the science is so good now that we're detecting just the most minuscule amounts of stuff. So they're gonna raise the level. So like you said,
what was it called again?
Good for Rob Font.
The Johnson, what they called that? The little
picograms.
Picograms, yeah.
Picograms, yeah.
That was like
a
small part of a sand grain.
Remember when we kept it would be like if you took a sand grain, a grain of salt, and you cut it into 100 pieces, and you threw 2 of those pieces in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. That's how much was in John. I kept hearing that over and over. I'm like, all right, stop with the Olympic-sized swimming pool. We get it. It's not very much. But it is true. The science has gotten so good that it's like detecting stuff that's just like a byproduct that's not even supposed to be there anymore. So,
Yeah, wow.
So good for him. So it was kind of a busy NSAC meeting, even if that's not always the most exciting thing.
It sounded so boring, though.
It is boring. I'm not gonna lie. They sit there and talk for like an hour and like.
Remember the one time we attended one of the ones they were talking about how they wanted to change up gloves or something, and I remember it was like hours and hours of sort of debating, and then they had people come out and we're talking about the gloves and makers of gloves, and I remember I was like, why are we taping this? I was like, we're never going to use this, and I feel like I'll never get this life force back. It's just sucking it out of me.
It's funny, man, because as the reporter in me, like, there's something kind of inherently exciting about seeing like how the sausage is made, right? Like how the decisions are done, what's going on. What was the actual testimony? But it is, I mean, it's intense periods of boredom to get that one little line here and there.
Because really, at the end of the day, you just want the sausage on your pizza and you're done. You don't really need to know how much what goes in the sausage.
It was made? All right, it was
sausage
made.
Done? Cool? All right, good.
or maybe you want to see the sausage made once, and then after that...
Once. Yeah, then you're good.
We probably shouldn't talk about sausage much.
I know, I'm getting hungry.
But look, it's been a busy week for everybody, man. MMA Junkie is all over the place, so if you haven't checked out the full coverage of MMA Junkie, do so. Today, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley got into a little bit of a skirmish over there. We've got the young Mike Bond out there in Cleveland, Ohio, or I believe as you people like to call it, the land.
Believe land.
Believe land out there in Cleveland for it. Cole Coffey, you've been taking a look at this and watching it, seeing the video roll in, and what do you make of all this? Because, I mean, I guess the fight itself, the pre-fight theater really doesn't matter much when it comes to the X's and O's of what's going to happen there. I mean, we know, look, I'm torn on this fight a little bit, man. Part of me, I want Tyron Woodley to win this fight. Like we were talking about on Spinning Back Click earlier in the week, like, I know we're supposed to be impartial journalists, but this is boxing. I don't cover boxing, so I don't have to be impartial. I want Tyron Woodley to win this fight, man. I really do. And it's not because of my dislike for Jake Paul. I kind of respect the guy's hustle, man. I mean, you got to say what those guys have created for themselves, the financial opportunities. You can't hate it. I just want to see our sport represented well, right?
Yeah.
But, look, Jake Paul, definite size advantage, man. You see them square up. He's a much bigger guy. Much bigger guy. And he's been really dialed into the boxing world, right? Like this is.
Have you seen his stretching routines? It's pretty.
Okay, I don't know if we need to talk about the stretching routines,
it's
sir.
So weird.
That belongs.
Jake,
I think that belongs on OnlyFans.
Weird.
Now that porn is allowed again on OnlyFans.
Oh, they took it back.
They took it back.
They were like, we're gonna lose everyone that's a member of OnlyFans if they get rid of porn and nudity.
That's it. They brought it back. They realized this is silly. So it's a little bit of a.
It's like that's what their business model was.
I know.
It's like they're just like, hey, we're just gonna change. That's like Apple saying, guys, I think we're gonna get out of the phone and the watch market. I think we can make tablets or something.
I'm telling you, I thought it was crazy. Yeah, they jumped back in there. So the stretching routine is a bit odd, but I think even the stretching routine, he's trying to be odd because he knows that it's odd and people are going to say, "Oh my god."
And we've seen plenty of times too where people, I think you're right. There probably is something where it's like, let's show them a show. Let's show them something they're not going to see anywhere
they're just going to be like, "What the hell is that?"
Unless you're peeping in his backyard watching his guy come over and stretch him or something. It's just there's such a size difference, and the crazy thing about it, and what I'm interested in seeing is the fact that he's going to connect with Tyron. He's going to catch him with that big looping overhand right. He's taller. He's just going to loop it up and over, and Tyron has a bad habit of just sort of walking straight forward, either to try to, he could try to hold, clinch up to just stop it, but he can't go for a takedown. So you'd think that he can try to keep that head off the center line, but he's not good at it. So he's going to take that shot, and it's just a matter of how many can he take before he's actually able to land something on his own to do a little bit of damage. He could do damage if he lands it. It's just who's going to happen first. What we saw with Askren came forward, and Jake's hand speed was actually pretty darn quick. And he missed Ben on the first attempt or two, but it wasn't because Ben dodged it. He was just a little bit outside of the range. Ben was walking straight forward, and unfortunately for Tyron does the same sort of thing. I think we all do. I mean, boxers and the people that are trained to keep their head off the center line are the only ones that are ever really good at keeping their head
and they're
moving.
really good at it.
And they're really, really good at it. Not saying that Jake isn't, but in this case, he's just going to be the one. If he's quicker to throw that out and Tyron doesn't move, then we're just going to have to see how Tyron's chin holds up to it. Jake's got a lot of power. I mean, we've seen that. He's a big boy. We've seen, while Tyron has degraded in the past, I mean, it's not like he's taken a lot of damage on his chin. It's usually something else gives out and he tires down. And then overall, with the fatigue, it brings him down to a point where he's not operating at a high level. So hopefully, if he can just stay away from that shot and is able to sort of deliver some stuff, I think he should be able to do it.
I think he has the skill. I think he has the raw talent, right? He's getting, and hey, let's just say he's got to pull the trigger too. I mean, look,
that's the hardest part right here.
There's only one thing you can do in boxing: it's throw punches, right? So don't worry about everything, because I feel like that was a hallmark of Tyron's later stages in MMA. It's just like, now again, it wasn't in his final fight in the UFC, but I think
it's going to happen in this.
I think that's what we have to see, is a little bit of that.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think just like with anything else, I mean, he's going to want to go out there and just try to feel the speed. Like, when you walk into, say, if you're going to the batting cage, you're going whatever, you want to take that, you want to see the first one come by, you want to see the second one come by, and then you gauge the speed. You're like, okay, I'm ready to engage. Unfortunately, in this one, if you're trying to watch that first punch go by, the second punch go by, but your head isn't in the right spot and you take that, you're not going to get many more shots than that. I mean, if he takes a good one or two shots without delivering something back, he's probably going to go down.
I know.
And with the speed and the strength that Jake's able to kind of muster, especially in that first round, he's going to finish him. Mm-hmm. So I'm just hoping that he stays moving. He keeps Jake, doesn't let Jake sort of just get set and get his feet sort of rooted into where he could put everything into that punch. Make it to where he's kind of keeping him moving and, making a better chance where he's got to watch out for the counter punch, but he's got to be first.
Yep.
If he doesn't come out and throw that first damn punch of that fight, which I know he's not going to, I have a really bad feeling that he's not going to get his engine going fast enough.
Or he comes out and just throws one ridiculous punch that puts him out of balance and gets clipped or something. I mean, you can't do that either, right? Like, you can't just be out, I'm former UFC champ, I can go out and just throw reckless abandon. You still got to set it up.
You're just a YouTube star.
Because he's not just a YouTube
guy.
No,
I mean, the work he's put into it is legit, and you could see that when he fought Ben, the way he rotated and the way he threw that punch, he wasn't throwing an off-balance punch. I mean, he was very, very set in his balance. If he would have missed on that shot, he would have been able to hold his spot and come back with a left, maybe throw the right again. I mean, like, he's got good fundamentals. And fortunately for him, he's got size. He's picking the right people to fight. And he's got power. I mean, like, for somebody to say that Jake doesn't have power, he's got power. They would be lying, or they would just be hating on him.
Yeah, and I get it. Look, anybody that's just hating on him, I understand why, but just admit you're just hating on him. You know what I mean? There is an athlete in there. I mean, obviously we've talked in the past about his high school wrestling accomplishments, and obviously that doesn't translate to boxing, but it just goes to show you his athletic prowess. Yeah. I mean, you win state championships
to a nice foundation and a good base. You
win state championships at the high school level in a state like Ohio. You're an athlete. You can learn other things. I like this. To me, is much less of a freak show fight than the Ben Askren fight was.
Completely.
This is a fight. That to me was a bit of a freak show thing. So I'm intrigued by this. I know some people, again, why are we talking about this? And this is the thing too, and it's funny. I've seen people even on our social media that are like, "Oh, why are you guys covering this, guys?" We're still covering everything else. That's the great thing about MMA Junkie. Look, and I'm not.
I love the Barbosa Chikadze fight.
Oh, I love that fight.
But outside of even the Lucknane, and I'm gonna butcher
Khabib.
Khabilev's, those are good fights.
Those are amazing fights.
I'm more into how the fuck Woodley's gonna do against Paul, and that's no slight to the UFC guys, but it's like, this has been a brewing extravaganza of just what the hell is gonna happen.
Yeah.
That it's my mind cannot think about it. Yeah. So of course, for me, it's the most exciting fight of the weekend.
I'm into it. I'm going to be watching on Sunday. So I would just say, hopefully, I don't hope anybody that's listening
to this. Where are you watching? Your house?
Yeah, I'll probably watch at the house. I
hope. Come watch over here.
Let's see what's going on. I don't really have plans yet. I'm definitely going to watch it. I don't have any full plans. I got to see what the family's doing too.
Yeah.
But I'm going to watch it, man. I'm definitely going to watch it. And, listen, like I said, if people are wondering, hey, why the hell are you covering this? Just remember, hey, MMA Junkie, we at least can tell you we're covering everything else.
We're at everything.
We got Danny Segura at PFL. We got me and you at UFC. So, yes, we are covering this, but we are not covering it at the end of sacrificing something else. We'll have a recap of one championship up. We had a couple pre-fight stories on one championship. Yep. We'll have Invicta covered as well. So, I have no problem stepping to an MMA fan that says, why the hell are you guys covering this? And say, listen, A, because people are interested in it.
Yeah.
B, look, we're not doing it at the sacrifice of covering anything else. We're covering everything. So I'm proud of proud of the MMA Junkie team for doing that, and I'm going to be watching on Sunday.
I mean, outside of the PFL one where they're actually to playoffs, they're working towards $1 million. Barboza and Chikadze, I mean, that's not even a contender fight.
But it's going to be a great fight.
I'm not saying
it's going to be. But you're right. It's not determined titles, contender.
It's not determined, all that sort of stuff. Whereas, even if you just look at the Jake Paul and the Woodley one for sort of what it means, you got everybody coming out wanting somebody to stand up for MMA.
Yeah.
And then you got the guy that's like, I'm trying to start my boxing career and I'm taking on these great fighters. There just seems to be more on the line for that particular fight, whether or not you want to say Tyron's, all right, he's my champion for this weekend. Tyron doesn't even want to be that either. He's like, yo, this is a money fight.
Right.
Me trying to earn some money to take care of my family. If you want to put that on me, even Ben was like the same thing. It was like,
I don't represent MMA.
I'm not trying to do that. Don't put that on me. I'm not certainly go out there and say, I'm going to win one for us good guys. They're going out there and they're trying to challenge themselves, and they're both going to make a lot of money and support their family. But in terms of what's exciting, because it just has all those sort of it factor things, it's that boxing match. I mean, but I'll tell you, I'm glad I'm not there covering it.
Oh, no, I don't want to be there covering it.
Hell no.
Did you see that scramble in there today during that?
Oh, my gosh.
I don't want anything to do. Hey, I will say this, though. I'm sure probably a lot of people have seen everything that happened there. How do you say this? I'm not saying that couldn't happen at a UFC event, but I feel like UFC security would have been a lot faster in getting everybody apart. That could have gotten bad really fast. It didn't seem like anybody was in control of what was happening.
Too, I mean, Jake Paul, dude, doesn't leave the house without like 30 fucking yes dudes. I love you,
Fair
Jake,
point.
around him. Like most places, we've seen small entourages at UFC things, but I think people realize too, if you talk shit to the wrong people there, most people in the crowd are killers.
Yeah.
He's got the majority of the males in the crowd were there behind his corner.
But that's the reason the UFC is very specific about, at this event you get 2 people, or at this event you get 1. But you're right, you don't get to roll with a posse of 30 people, an entourage behind you, because stuff like that does happen when you're attacking them. In fact, I mean, listen, pull back the curtain a little bit. We saw a little bit of that at that Triller press conference in Las Vegas, remember? Where, it was like, Ben's there by himself, and they're trying to get him to go do things where, this entourage is there, and Ben's like, no, I'm not. I'm not showing up with just me around 30 people, and it's like, you can't blame him.
It was like, he's like, was that even an option to bring people? He was like, I was just told to be here. I didn't know that I was going to show up against 30 people that was going to bring 10 dudes to talk shit. He's like, I could have found friends if that's what we wanted, And it's the same sort of deal here, Tyron's going to go, the family, and it's funny. People are like, I saw some people. I'm like, why is his mom there? I was like, he's fighting in a huge boxing match. Why wouldn't your family
be there? His mom's
always
there. His mom's always there.
But it's just kind of crazy. It's like, it's weird to me that a bunch of y'all dudes aren't working your damn job, and you're here supporting your lover, your favorite fanboy. Like, where's your job? What is your job? Did you take the day off to kind of support your boy, or do you just not work? And your work is, hey, I hang out at my boy's house. Who is more in the right to be there? Who's more embarrassing to be there trying to start a fight with the dude's mom?
Well, I guess I just say, listen, as long as this, again, I don't know what we call it, celebrity boxing isn't the right way to call it. Again, Jake Paul and Logan Paul, I think
that's just the way boxing's going now.
It is. I think that's the way it's going.
I think we just have to cut off the celebrity part at the beginning, because they're putting in the work and they're boxing. It's just boxing.
I just think they're going to have to be careful with understanding that, like, hey, man, yeah, this is for show and we're creating content, we're creating drama, but if you don't actually have security in place and you're not actually making sure that we're not putting people in bad situations, bad things are going to happen.
Something's going to happen.
You're going to end up losing a fight because somebody's going to end up getting hurt or some, you know what I mean? Like,
I was glad Tyron didn't, but I could see the urge was there at a couple points. But yeah, just to think that, because I know it's, Jake's even said that before, there's stuff laid in the contract.
Sure.
Just like anybody, you can't punch anything. But also, too, even if it isn't, you punch some random dude in the crowd and then you get thrown in jail. And then what if the commission's like, sorry, I'm canceling this bout. You got to be smart about it.
You got to be smart about it. You got to make sure stuff like that doesn't happen. I mean, I get it. It's all fun. And everybody likes the drama, but there are things that can happen that end up costing everybody money. So
I wonder what their employers think about all those guys that took the day off work to be there.
I'm sure they really enjoy it. So that'll be Sunday night in Cleveland. We'll have
somewhere
full coverage.
Somewhere 7-Eleven's like, where's that damn dude that works here? Oh, is he off supporting his boy again?
Oh man, Mike Bond's out there in Cleveland. So we'll have full coverage of MMA
Thank
Junkie.
God.
You can follow his personal accounts as well if you want to see some stuff behind the scenes. As we said, Danny Segura, Danny's pulling double duty this week, man. Danny's covering the PFL, but also went and talked to Vitor Belfort. Vitor Belfort did an open workout in Florida. Oscar De La Hoya, who he's fighting September 11th, did an open workout in L.A. Unfortunately, Simon Simano was on vacation this week, so we didn't have anybody there, but we did still get some footage and some photos and stuff from the organization. So we did have some coverage of that. But Danny Segura was out there in the Vitor Belfort camp. I will say again, talking about fights, the Paul Askren was kind of a freak show fight. I think Paul Mayweather was a freak show fight too. That's two completely different levels. I'm actually kind of interested in De La Hoya and Vitor Belfort. And De La Hoya coming out this week in that media day in L.A. and saying that he plans on weighing about 175 pounds for the fight. Now, it's a 185-pound limit. He says he plans on weighing 175. You got to think that Vitor at 185 is going to be cutting down to 185 and rehydrating like he used to in his MMA days. So I got to think, maybe he comes in conservatively at 195, conservatively. So that's, a 20-pound difference between the two. For what it's worth, Oscar De La Hoya does say that the partying, he's put that on hold. He said he's got his life back on track. He's focused. This was an opportunity for him to kind of dial things back in that they may have gotten a little bit away from at some time. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty intrigued by that one too, because I feel like if it's Oscar at 100%, he should be able to outbox Vitor Belfort. Of course, we're talking about one of the greatest boxers of all time. And yes, he's older, and yes, it's been a while, but he's still got those skills, and he's not a guy that went through a ton of wars and is not there anymore. I think he still has the athleticism. He looks decent, but Vitor, I would think, would have the ability to just knock him out at some point, man. I'll be honest, I'm intrigued by that one.
Yeah, that's actually one where I actually feel more confident in the MMA guy than the boxer. I mean, I know that Oscar can outbox us with his eyes closed. But that's me and you. Vitor, is just going to come in much better shape, I think, and a lot less ring rust than what Oscar is.
Yep.
But again, if Vitor comes in there and blows his load, he's too anxious, pushing too hard, and if Oscar just sort of covers up and lets Vitor blow his load, and then his arms are drained, and then Oscar's just going to piece him apart. But I'm hoping that Vitor plays it smart and is able to kind of get in there. And if there's, not that I have any ill will towards Oscar, but I don't know why I feel like it would be funny to see him get knocked out or whatever. But I feel like that one, out of all the options on the table of recently, just talking about like Ben and Jake and Tyron, Anderson I knew had a really, really good chance in his fight against Chavez Jr. But I think Vitor and Oscar, he has a legit chance to win that fight. And I'm actually kind of banking on it. I feel more confident about him than any of the other ones.
I do too.
Than any of the other ones.
I do too. Well, we'll get into that. That'll be September 11th. We'll have full coverage of that. I know Simon Simon will be out there. I know he's talked about needing a lead videographer to come out there and potentially assist him with that. I told him that I'm sure he'd be interested, man.
Dave Mandel's out there. Gig worker status. I hope they get that legislation all worked out there.
Man, too funny. All right, listen. Danny Segura also will be covering PFL as well. It is 2021 PFL Playoffs 3. Good card. Listen, Brendan Loughnane and Movlid Khabibulov, combined career record of 38-3-1 between the two of them. That's your headlining crazy featherweight semifinal. That's a great fight. And honestly, man, I think this is one of the few times that PFL can say maybe we have, the most intriguing MMA fight of the weekend. Barboza and Chikadze, though, is fireworks as well, man. It's absolute fireworks as well. So, it's interesting, though. Both of those in the featherweight division. I think those are great main events. Also at PFL, Chris Wade versus Bubba Jenkins in the other featherweight semifinal. So I think the featherweight tournament looks really good. For the light heavyweights, you got Shoeface in there. You got Cesar Fajeda over there, Mutanch in a couple of key fights there. And obviously the winners will all go on to fight in October for the $1 million prize. And we'll have full coverage of that. But speaking of the PFL, I did have a chance to speak with one of their biggest stars, Kayla Harrison, who has already punched her ticket to the finals. An interesting matchup, an unexpected matchup. Taylor Gordado, who was a fantastic amateur fighter, actually covered some of her amateur career out here in Tough Enough. Her lone loss was to Ronda Rousey, actually, as an amateur. She was like 9-1, I think, as an amateur. She was kind of the surprise finalist as well. So I had a chance to talk to Kayla Harrison about her big win over Jenna Fabian, some of the backlash she's been receiving, kind of what she's looking at moving forward to next. No secret, I think if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I'm a big fan of Kayla Harrison. I know now people are starting to kind of compare her to the bigger names, and a lot of people are saying, she has absolutely no chance. It's ridiculous. I can tell you, man, she is the real deal, and the people that are with her in the gym at American Top Team will attest to it. I think I've touched on it here before too. My understanding is she's been run through the gauntlet over at the USCPI as well when she's there with some of her training partners, and the numbers that she posted were just off the charts. And so if you're getting away from just subjective data and subjective concepts, and you're looking at just absolutely objective data, she's got the numbers to back it up. So I think she's the real deal. I think she's starting to get hated on a little bit, but hey, if you're not getting haters, that means you're not doing it right. So here's Kayla Harrison, and after her big win ahead of the finals. All right, it is reigning PFL champion, now 2021 finalist, and let me add, media watchdog, Kayla Harrison. How about that new title, huh? Keeping us all in check with those questions.
You would never say something like that, so don't worry, you're safe for now.
I appreciate it. Are you surprised that did kind of take on a life of its own? Are you surprised how much attention was paid to what was said there?
Yeah. Yes, I'm still learning, I think. It's weird to, I guess I'm making headlines lately is the point I'm trying to make. And I wasn't trying to make a headline or do anything. It just kind of pissed me off. So I spoke my mind, and now everyone's like, oh, Harrison Blast reporter. And then I felt bad because I know the guy wasn't trying to be an asshole. So I tweeted out like hey, I know you're not a bad guy thing. It's just like the media, you guys suck sometimes. Everything takes a life of its own. Everything.
It does. Well, in fairness, I will say this. I completely agree with your point. The point that you made there about how you ask a female athlete a question versus a male athlete, it was very real, to be honest. And I don't want to pick on the guy either. I don't know the reporter personally, but as you said, not trying to pile on the guy, but I think it is a valuable lesson for anybody
right.
that everybody just be treated the same. So I was curious though, is that something that you've experienced a lot, like something that you've seen that just has built up inside you, or was it just something in the moment that you were like, hey, that's not right?
Well, it was definitely in the moment, but I kind of do see it a lot. We talk about it a lot in MMA, especially, where it's like, female fighters are kind of judged based off their looks or based off their appearance. And I've heard comments before. I've heard, oh, this girl only got that fight because she's hot, or she has big boobs and like stuff like that. And I remember when I first thought about MMA, I didn't really want to get into it because I felt like Ronda, who had been my teammate and training partner, kind of like had to sell herself like sex sells type thing. And I was like, she's a badass on her own. She doesn't need to sell with sex, so I feel like it's been a problem for a while, but the more we speak up and talk about it, the better it'll get.
Yeah, no question about it. Like I said, a good lesson for everybody. I think any budding journalists out there, reporters, just, don't bridge that gap. So let's talk about the fight itself. Dominant. I mean, obviously you went out there and did what you do. But I also know you're a perfectionist, and I also know that you find flaws in everything. So when you have a fight like that, can you walk away and say, I did what I need to do, or did you find flaws in it?
No, for sure I found flaws, I think. But to be honest, I think that I'm okay with the flaws that were shown, because I think it's going to give future opponents like a feeling of ease, if that makes any sense. Like, people are like, oh, that's all she does. Like, that's great. That's what I want them to think. That's what I want everyone to assume So I'm okay with the flaws, but I'm going to continue to sharpen my tools and be prepared when the big ones come.
I like it. Maybe a false sense of security there. So I don't think anybody can criticize the performance, but as you said, you're making headlines. And I think people now, the headline I see is this Kayla Harrison, she is too cocky. She got in there and said, Izzy can't stop my takedowns. You know, she said, what are you thinking when you hear people say she's too cocky? I mean, I'm sorry, 2-time gold medalist, undefeated mixed martial artist. I might be a little bit cocky myself, if I'm being honest.
I mean, it used to really bother me when people would say stuff like that, but now I'm pretty secure in my skin, and I know what I know that I was joking and like trying to play the audience a little bit, trying to play up the media a little bit. It's not like obviously I'm not delusional. I don't think that I could take down a middleweight champion of the world. Like, I understand the concept of male strength and female strength. But at the same time, like, how dare you tell me what to believe in myself? Like, how dare you assume that I should think I can't take, like, of course I'm going to go in there thinking that I can take anyone down and win any fight. And of course you have to have that mentality when you step in a cage and they lock the door. And if you don't have that mentality, then you're in the wrong sport. You're in the wrong place, because if you don't believe in yourself, you will find a way to lose. So I'm going to continue to believe in myself. I'm going to continue to say things that I think are funny or find amusing. And if people don't like it, cool. I mean, I think either way, people are going to watch me now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's funny because I've always felt that using the word cocky in describing a mixed martial artist, it should just be thrown out of the vocabulary, right? Because you touched on it there. Am I right in assuming that if you're going to step into a steel cage with another human being who is hell-bent on doing you physical destruction, you better be almost delusional in your level of self-confidence?
Of course. You better be insane. Like, you have so much self-belief that absolutely you better be puffed up like a balloon. And I also think that all of the people who say these things and judge me and Twitter troll me, like, they've never done anything with their lives. They've never dared to be great. They've never dared to even believe in themselves. And I feel sorry for them because they're stuck in this space that they don't have to be stuck in. Everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a passion. Everyone has something they can be great at. And I encourage them to go out and chase it, because that's what I'm doing and I'm happy.
That's awesome. And getting attention, including the attention of one Chris Cyborg, right? I thought this was funny too, because I saw people criticizing you for saying, hey, I could beat her. But I also wanted to point out to them, by the way, it was not Kayla who started that conversation. The tweet was directed at her. So what did you think of saying, hey, here's this all-time great and Chris Cyborg? Clearly, she's mentioning me now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a compliment. I take it as a compliment. I don't really care if people think I should, like, how dare I believe I can beat her? Like, do you guys really think I'm in here to come up short? Like, do you think I'm here to be second best? Like, of course I think I can beat her. Of course I want to beat her. Of course I'm going to tell myself over and over again that I can beat her, because I believe that, and that's what I want eventually. Like, that's what I'm headed towards. So I think it's great she's talking about me. I think she's great. I think it's great she's watching me. I think she knows too. I think she also likes to have her name in the headlines and likes to stay in the mix and stay relevant. And that's fine. You can ride my coattails. I don't care.
I love it. Well, the next step in the journey. The next step in the journey for you, obviously, the finals in October. A surprise finalist, right? Taylor Gordado. I don't think many people were picking her. Obviously, she had a great amateur career, took a couple years off, made it back here to the finals. Give me your thoughts on her. Have you had a chance to start scouting her yet?
Yeah, we watched her. I know Mike Brown, the psychopath that he is, has already watched all of the girls and all of the girls that are new and, like, all of the girls that are potentially new. Like, he's watched everyone and done all of it. We knew she had a good amateur record. I was interested to see how she did at 155, and she is kind of the little engine that could. I feel like she has forced her way to this finals. She's very deserving. She's a game opponent. I also happen to have a lot of respect for her. I think, we tried to do a face-off in the cage after the fights, and we were just both, like, laughing. And, I have nothing but good good things to say about her. And, it's one of those things where this is my job. This is what I have to do. And, the little engine that could is going to have its trains wheels stopped in their track on October 27th. So.
It's a Cinderella story. It's great that she made it to the finals, but you're right. She's got an absolute tough assignment in front of her now. Training camp. When does it start? Do you take time off? During these seasons like this, in between playoff fights, do you take any time off, or are you already back in the gym?
No, I'm taking a week off this week. I'll be back. Monday will be, I think, 9 weeks out. Normally, I don't like to take time off. I really enjoy what I do, and I already want to go back to the gym. I have no injuries. I feel fine. But I will say that 4 fights in 5.5 months is pretty aggressive, even for me. So I think it's important for me to mentally reset. I think it's important for me to kind of let all the bumps and bruises just rest up, heal up, and come back with a vengeance. I'm excited. I'm ready to train right now, but it's a long, hard season, and I want to be absolutely prepared so that when I show up to training on Monday, I'm ready to give 110% every single workout.
Very nice. October 27th. Thought it was going to be in Vegas at one point. I was excited for that. Unfortunately, it's going to be in Florida, but I'm sure you like that. You don't have to travel, right?
Please don't say unfortunately. Fortunately, it's going to be in Florida. Thank God. Number 1, no travel. Number 2, no state income tax. Number 3, I get to go sleep in my own bed the night of the fight. It's going to be great.
That's awesome. Fortunately for you. And how about fellow Olympian Clarissa Shields is on the card as well, right? Is that exciting for you? I know, like I said, you and I have talked before. I know people keep trying to make you girls fight. I don't think that makes sense. I know you don't think it makes sense, but just sharing a card and knowing the kind of, I'm sure, media attention and stories that will be written, is that exciting for you?
Not really. It's kind of annoying just because I know that everyone's gonna do the comparison bullshit and the I know that part's gonna be annoying. I'm excited for Clarissa. I remember in 2018 I fought on the New Year's Eve final card as one of my one-off fights, and I remember being there and seeing it and watching these guys make their dreams come true and thinking this will be me. And I was super excited. So I'm happy for her. I'm excited to see her continue to grow as an MMA fighter and just be supportive, I think she's the future, and not that long ago, I was the future, so it'll be good.
Another woman with a lot of confidence as well. And unfortunately, she gets criticized for that too. But I mean, I think it's amazing the fact that she's willing to take on this journey. I mean, it's a heck of a challenge. And talk about stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think it deserves a lot of praise, whether she wins or loses moving forward.
For sure. I think, again, it's one of those things where everyone wants to make comments and criticize and judge, but you don't see a lot of people stepping in there and daring to be great. And she does that, and she does it fearlessly and with a ton of confidence. And that's why I have a lot of respect for her, And I also, she came from very humble beginnings. She created this life for herself. She did it. And I respect that. I can empathize with that because I feel like I've done the same thing. And I just have nothing but good things to say about her.
Yeah, no question about it. So finals, obviously big focuses on that, but we know there is free agency looming after that. So obviously quite possibly a very highly targeted free agent. So obviously those negotiations will happen behind closed doors, but I'm just curious, what is most important to you? I'm sure, securing your financial future is most important. So that's going to be a big factor in it. But, as we said, people are comparing you and doing these fantasy matchups with Chris Cyborg, of course, your teammate Amanda Nunes, other names out there. So is it important for you to have the opportunity to go test yourself against names like that in your career? Or is it simply a matter of write me the biggest check and I'll do it. That's where I'll go.
You know what? I've spent some time thinking about it and, doing some soul searching, and obviously I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to just go for the biggest check, but I do have a number in mind that I would be willing to sacrifice for now, chasing those top opponents. So if there's life-changing money put on the table that's going to, secure the future of my family, my children, then that's something I really have to consider. So we'll see what happens. All of that stuff is kind of out of my hands. I know that if I continue to go out there and put on dominant performances and do my job and make people troll me and talk about me, then I know that everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to work out.
Yeah. Hey, they call it prize fighting for a reason, right? You're trying to go collect a prize, and that prize is the paycheck. Look, we've seen your teammate Dustin Poirier. Look what he's done recently. Passed up on a title shot to go take that big money fight with Conor McGregor. I didn't see anybody question his motives there. You understand. You go collect the biggest paycheck possible.
I mean, Dustin is like also literally fought the best of the best for the last 20 fights of his life. So he's also earned to do whatever he wants to do. But I feel the same, you know, I've earned the right. I mean, it's my life. I get to choose. That's the beauty of it. And I'm confident that I'll make the right decision when the time comes. But until then, it's all eyes on October 27th, all eyes on the prize.
No question about it. One more question about the future, though. I'll say, is the future definitely 155 pounds? I mean, are you open to discussions there? Would you want to do something different, maybe just to freshen it up for yourself or give yourself a new challenge?
Yeah, I'm open to all possibilities. I think the world is my oyster, and I'm ready to accept new challenges or continue on this same path. We'll see what happens post October 27th, but I'm ready for it all. Bring it on.
I dig. I did want to ask you one last question as well, and I want to phrase this the right way because I know clearly the respect that you have for Amanda Nunes, and you don't like the idea of, hey, let's pit us, you don't want the drama. But I've heard conflicting reports, so I want to ask you directly: how much do y'all train together? Do you guys spend an amount of time training together?
We don't train together as often anymore as we did in the past. That's also due for a ton of reasons. We both have kids now. We both have different, in the past she would be fighting a southpaw grappler and I was the perfect look for that. And now I'm not really a perfect look for most of her opponents. And so there are a ton of things that go into that, but that doesn't mean we don't, we still train, we still talk about fighting and we still go back and forth on positions. And I told her also, anytime she wants me, anytime she needs a big girl body, I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to support. And, I'm totally open to it. I think she is too. It's just that life is busy.
Yeah, no question about it. I appreciate it. I'd heard stories of oh, you should see these gym wars. And I'd heard other stories of they're not really together. And I know that, when you're at the highest level, you kind of build training camps around yourself, yeah, right? Rather than being all these partners in the room, yeah, where just everybody goes with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, Amanda is she's obviously special. So she trains at, specific times that are conducive to her life. And I'm getting to that point where, I obviously work with my coaches one-on-one at least once a day. I do go to a lot of the classes still just because I think it's important and I enjoy it. But our training schedules are different, and that's not because there's drama or beef or anything like that. It's just because that's it. We're two of the top tier fighters in the gym, and I'm the captain. She's the GOAT. We're good.
Not bad to have you both in the room, is it? It's funny. I know that the respectful teammate in you hate the discussion about it, but I will say from an athletic standpoint, I hope you can get together for a good-natured, just athletic contest, no hard feelings, no Kobe Covington situation. You know what I mean? Let's just go in and do it. Two of the best in the world. Selfishly, I kind of hope it happens someday.
Yeah, I think if it ever does happen, that's the way it'll happen. I have nothing but love and respect for Amanda. I still look up to her quite a bit, and I've competed against my friends my whole life in judo. So for me, it's not it's not a personal thing, and I have no ill will. I'm also not chomping at the bit to get a piece of her or anything like that. I just want to be the best, that's it. So, but nothing but love for Amanda, always.
No doubt. Well, we'll leave the fantasy matchmaking to the sidelines for now. We'll see how free agency plays out. In the meantime, October 27th, the surprise finalist, the little engine that could, as you said, Taylor Gordado in the finals. Obviously, wish you the best of luck as always, and I'm sure we'll talk as the fight gets closer. But appreciate the time as always, Kayla.
For sure. Thank you so much.
right, so thank you to Kayla Harrison for the, I guess we'll say extended conversation there. I enjoy talking with her. I like the fact that she, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, basically keeps it real, man. Just addresses things, and you know, I think that she gets misinterpreted on a lot of things, and you know, it's not my job to necessarily defend her or anything like that. But I'm a fan. I think she's the real deal, man. I think that we're going to see some continued big fights out of her in PFL or somewhere else. We'll see what we'll see what happens. We'll see how it all plays out. So
I like what you did there.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
All right. So while everybody else is traveling around covering boxing events and PFL, of course, Cold Coffee and I are doing what we do basically every week, which is stay here in Las Vegas, hit up the UFC Apex, and cover UFC on ESPN 30. By the way,
we will be living at the UFC
I was going to say, the last week where we're just covering
Lord.
one event, man, Dana White's Contender Series kicks in next week. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that my partner here shares the same enthusiasm.
You just like getting out of your house. I like being in my house.
That's fair. Yeah, we're going to have Dana White's Contender Series. That means every week, pretty much every week, we'll have a couple little breaks. I'm gonna miss the September 18th UFC event because of.
Oh really? I won't.
Well, I have CFFC duties, and I'm going to see my family in Dallas as well. So we're gonna make a trip to there. I'm gonna miss that one. Outside of that, we'll be pretty much. There's no September 11th UFC event, but I think there is a Contender Series that week. But basically, our schedule for the next couple of months is going to be Monday Contender weigh-ins, Tuesday Contenders, Wednesday UFC Media Day, Thursday, podcast, day drinking. Friday, UFC weigh-ins. Saturday, UFC. So it's going to be like clockwork, baby. Like clockwork.
Sunday, at some point, I'd just be crying in the corner, waiting for it, hoping for the season to be over.
Sunday.
How many weeks
also
are
day drinking.
how many weeks is it?
I think 10 weeks.
Oh, my God.
10 weeks?
What was it last time? Like 8? I don't remember being like 10.
I
Maybe
don't remember how many. Have they even announced how many it is? I don't know. I did. Look.
I know I put a bunch of applications in today, but that was for like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah, I put in like 4 or 5 days. I don't know if it's going to happen either, but I also heard, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I know that it was in the works that after Contender Series wraps, then they'll start doing the Contender Series Asia shows, which I'm kind of interested to see because they're going to be taped. So I'm kind of interested to see, well, again, if the trigger gets pulled and this gets done, my understanding is it's going to be taped. Again, a lot of it has to do with travel visas and all that stuff. Yeah, so it'll be here at the Apex. But they'll tape it and then they'll send it back. But because they're taping it, they could really do it at any time of the day they want. So I'm going to be kind of interested to see if rather than like that 5 p.m. start time, which of course makes sense for contenders because you have it prime time.
Yeah.
If you're taping it, would you just do it at like noon so it's in the middle of the day so nobody has to like work in the evenings? You know what I mean? They can just kind of do it during the day. I don't know.
I imagine if they're going to bring him here, they got to get him acclimated. So then I think they would fight it at a decent local time. They're not going to put him on in the middle of the night or whatever. They're not going to make him stay up to the middle of the night. But you're right. It could be earlier in the day. It could be afternoon. But I think it would still be some sort of fight decent time for them. But I would think if with show production, with them sort of leading in that day, I would say you're probably right. Anywhere midday to early afternoon. I don't know why they wouldn't keep it just by 5.
I think so, right? Just to make sure nobody has to, everybody can be wrapped up and be done.
Yeah.
We'll see, but again, that's neither here nor there. I just thought I'd give you a little tip. In the meantime, this weekend is UFC on ESPN 30, Barbosa versus Chikadze. I mean, listen, you said it. Look, it's not a contender bout as far as Edson Barbosa and Chikadze goes, but as far as just fun fights, as far as, just styles make fights, and this is going to be great. I mean, I just don't see how this won't be a banger. And I love the fact that both these guys are so respectful. Both had nothing but great things to say about each other, but both also know exactly what they're facing in the other, and they say, look, man, we're gonna stand and trade. We're gonna bang it out. We know this is gonna be great for the fans. They did say, hey, both of them when we talked to my media, they did say, hey, this is a mixed martial arts fight, so I'm not saying like no takedowns or no wrestling. If it's there, it's there. Yeah. If I need to go to it, I'll go to it. But I think
it's not gonna be a kickboxing match.
That's it. They all say it's not a kickboxing match, but I think they both obviously are incredibly skilled strikers. Edson Barbosa, his UFC pedigree speaks for itself, man. We've seen it for years. Dude's been in the UFC for a decade now, which is crazy, and continues to seemingly be getting better. He's a featherweight, which I thought was, how in the hell is he ever going to do this? Yeah. He's doing it and doesn't look terrible at it. Meanwhile, Chikadze, a guy that was a world champion in striking arts outside the UFC, and as he'll tell you, not like a regular world champion in some backyard organization. He's talking about the highest level, and it's true. And now he's really starting to get in a role in mixed martial arts as well. he's excited, representing Georgia in the main event. I mean, I don't know. You're right. We're not going to have a number one contender out of this fight, but I just think it's going to be fireworks, and it's in that little tiny cage in there. I think these two dudes are going to – you know what? We might not be speaking to the winner at the press conference. It might be one of those fights, you know what I mean, where it's like so-and-so has been transported for precautionary reasons.
I imagine you're going to be hearing those leg kicks super, super loud. And it's one thing because everybody always assumes, all right, well, Edson, it's going to be leg kick, leg kick, leg kick. But, I mean, Giga's got some nasty kicks as well. So I imagine you're going to be in there just hearing legs slapping on thighs and bones until, to see who eventually wins the day. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a good fight, and when I said, out of what was going to be exciting, of course, how could you just not look at that crazy boxing shit show? But you're right. In terms of just two high-level guys, sort of on two different, maybe not ends of their careers in terms of UFC. You got one that's a super long veteran that some say, maybe he's getting towards the end of his career, even though if you ask him, he says he feels
he's
better.
Closer to the end than he is the beginning. How about that?
To the end.
He's been in the UFC for 10 years.
Assumption. Yeah, I mean, he's been doing it forever. He's still a super dangerous cat. It's just not the same Edson that was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, he's still super dangerous, and he always gets the respect of people. And how can you not respect him coming in and say good things? And I thought it was great. And I've never heard Edson say a bad thing about anybody ever. So I thought it was he just always comes in there, always has a big smile on his face, and it's just like, dude, you're gonna get locked in the cage, but he looks like he's literally having the time of his life. He seems to appreciate even the media days. He's good for all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, that fight's gonna be fun. It's gonna be gangbusters. I think we're just so used to those fights recently. We've been spoiled where we've been seeing, a lot of contender fights or title fights or whatever. This is one of those rare ones where it's just not. It doesn't seem to be one of those ones that's immediately contending. It's almost more like, they sort of backfill it with a couple cats to keep your eyes on as for who's coming out. I mean, there's still some guys that have been in there for a while doing their thing, like Gerald Mirshar, but the fact that it's bundled in with tough fighters. Mm-hmm. It literally proves its point to be. It's like we are the new breed. I mean, they got some other guys going in there, but this is one of those cards where you get introduced to new cats that you need to pay attention to. So if you've never watched the show or anything along those lines, you're going to see a guy like Ricky Tercios and be like, whoa, what is crazy? I mean, like, you're never going to get the full effect of actually letting him have an interview until you see his post-fight. But
you got to – okay, look. I'm just going to say, I'm not going to play the audio because part of it is that we think that the audio might be so uncomfortable for people to listen to. Or
they might think something's wrong with it because there's such long breaks.
They might think that we made some kind of mistake. So we do have the two Ultimate Fighter finales on this one. You have Brian Battle and Gilbert Urbina in the middleweight final.
That's going to be a good one.
You have Brady Heistan and Ricky Tercios in the bantamweight final. If you remember from the pre-fight, or preseason, I should say, we told you right away, we're like, Tercios is one of the most interesting cats you'll ever meet. Somehow he got even more interesting since the time we met him, and we got to interview him this week.
So happy he made it.
And he was fun on the show, and I know a lot of people probably didn't watch the show. The show wasn't bad. It wasn't. They didn't really do anything to reinvent the wheel or anything. They kind of just did the same thing. They spruced up the graphics a little bit.
Changed the house.
Yeah, changed the house.
They changed the house.
I mean, like I said, they had some new music packages and graphics packages to use, but overall, it was pretty much the same show. I always say, look, if you don't want to watch it, fine, but it is an opportunity for guys to make their way into the UFC. It is programming for people to potentially find MMA for the first time. People that actually like the soap opera thing, and then they go, maybe I'll watch these fights a little bit.
I can't stand reality TV, but if I was into reality TV, I would at least feel happy that I know that there's a reality TV show for us MMA people.
It serves a purpose. And so that's why I've never been understood that people are like, this show must go away. Like, bro, nobody's asking you to watch it every week. It doesn't have to go away. It serves a purpose. Yeah. If you don't want to watch it, I don't blame you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, bro, you got to check your hardcore fan status if you're not watching The Ultimate Fighter. No, you can be a hardcore fan and not watch The Ultimate Fighter. Maybe you just want to fast forward to the end and just watch the fights. You can do that. But Ricky Tercios is an interesting cat. And if you got some extra time and you want to just be feel mildly uncomfortable and also entertained at the same time, go watch his pre-fight interview over at the MMA Junkie YouTube page. his pauses between questions and answer are so
So dramatically long. It's
Yes.
just like, it's like insert dramatic pause, and then you're like, okay, the pause is over. You can talk now. You can talk now, and it's like, no, he's still formulating.
we should
He's still
we
working it
should have
out.
done some stopwatches, man. I don't know. I mean, and I guess maybe they feel longer than they probably are. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
just dead silence in there while he's considering what he's saying, and I
They
like
feel
the fact
so
he's
long.
being thoughtful
Yeah.
about it. That's good. He's not just giving us some crap answer, but it just makes him an interesting character.
Yeah. And
you
I'm
know what I'm
glad
saying?
that-
You feel me?
Yeah, no, I like what you did there. I like it how we chop it up.
We chopped it up
And it'd be
again.
one thing if he didn't do it this time, because then it'd be like, oh, well, then that was just a ploy, or that was fake the first time. The
Right.
fact that he did it again, that's just how he is, And I love it. I love the calculated thought of what he puts in his answer, and the answers are always sort of entertaining because they're never what you expect. His voice is never what you expect. Like the words coming out of his mouth, when I look at him, I think one thing is going to happen, and then all of a sudden, I feel like I've been transported deep into the South. Like he's taking me way down in the depths of Texas. He's gonna show me his boys. But I love him. It's been one of those for me. It's refreshing in the fact that I find a character that I'm amused by because. One, he's sort of an anime nerd geek like me, but he's not your atypical fighter, and his personality just stands out because one, I haven't seen him like talk mad trash ever about anybody, and he's just so unique that he's just I don't know. Some people would call him like weird and awkward, but there's something about that I think is so refreshing and so cool. Instead of just saying, okay, here's just another obvious badass that talks shit about somebody and wants to go in there and murder somebody. Here's a guy that every time he pauses, I'm like, I don't know what he's going to say. I honestly cannot
Literally
think of
zero.
what he's going to come out of
There
his
are some
mouth.
people, including Dana White, that I could give the answers for them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
know exactly I know the sentence structure, I know the phrasing,
Yeah.
I know exactly what's gonna be said. That dude, you have zero idea
Yeah.
what's about to come out of his mouth.
So good. He's it's refreshing. I mean, I think he's the kind of guy that I think if people did watch it, maybe it's the kind of thing, and maybe his personality come out where people eventually will want to go back and watch it, even if they didn't. If he puts the performances on and he gets the contract and he does what he needs to do, he's the kind of character that I think will grow on people, and they'll maybe want to go back and watch it. you know?
Not an easy fight, by the way. Brady Heiston, I believe,
Yeah.
is 22 years old, I believe. I mean, just an absolute kid, but great wrestling, you know,
Yeah.
great grappling. So it's going to be a good test, man. I think those bantamweight finals could be fun. And then, listen, a fight that really is intriguing on this card, man. Kevin Lee versus Daniel Rodriguez, man.
Yeah.
I'm really, really intrigued by this because I mean, Kevin Lee, a guy that seemed like he was destined for superstardom. Obviously, a bit of a polarizing figure. I think a lot of people didn't like the guy. You know, he's brash, he's cocky, whatever. But a guy that was kind of earmarked for success and ended up having some mixed results. Then had a very serious injury to his knees, had to get that repaired. Now he's back. He's been gone for almost a year and a half. He's moving up a division. So now you're talking about a former, interim lightweight title challenger moving up to 170 pounds. Can he reinvent himself? He had some tough weight cuts, and so I think he's one of those guys that I really do think is kind of like 165 would be perfect for him. You know what I mean? But obviously it doesn't exist.
I mean, the size looked good on him. He was jacked.
He did look good.
His arms were jacked. You could tell because he said he'd been doing some weightlifting,
Yeah.
and you could tell.
No doubt. But what I'm interested to see is how he stacks up next to Daniel Rodriguez, because D-Rod is
D-Rod's a big boy.
dude, man. He's
Big
a
boy.
big dude.
And that's one thing too. Kevin, he was always. I mean, he carried his weight good. He had great energy. His fight style would sort of tire him out a little bit, but it was just so grappling heavy, so just sort of in your face. Now to see him perform carrying extra weight, even though he's been doing the weight training stuff, it's just. I mean, this is not completely out of the woods for him, but I mean, going into a division that has big guys cutting down to it, where of course he has to cut a little weight or whatever, but they're cutting a lot more weight and they're a lot bigger guys, so it'll be interesting. But this is a tough fight, because everything Kevin said in the presser gave me an impression that he wants to stand and bang. He wants to throw hands, and that is what we were saying. Like, do not stand and throw hands with D-Rod, because Daniel is one of the toughest, hardest hitting punchers we've seen in a while, regardless of division. And I think that would be a mistake on Kevin's part. I mean, Kevin's got power and he can generate some stuff, but man, we saw D-Rod get hit quite a few times, but he's just got a massive granite chin.
Yep.
And I just think if I wasn't hearing what I wanted to hear from Kevin, he touted the good work that he was doing with Dewey and all this other stuff, but Dewey's his fucking striking coach.
Oh, no.
And I'm like,
This
man,
ain't the one.
This is
ain't
not the
one
where you want to try to prove that you're a great striker still. This is not the fight. This is the fight where if you're a great wrestler, if you're a good grappler and you can get him down, focus on that and then work on your ground and pound, because he's going to need to take Daniel down, get him on the ground, and try to work some stuff. But even people have a hard time even holding him down. I mean, he's a big boy. He's strong. That's a tough one. This is a really, really bad fight for Kevin to come back to.
I know. I thought the same thing. And obviously this was supposed to be Sean Brady. Sean Brady had to bow out. D-Rod stepped in short notice. Props to Kevin Lee for saying, I'll take that assignment, because it is a completely different style. A completely different body type. Man, I'm
probably more dangerous.
I know. I agree. I agree. I mean, as dangerous as Brady is, D-Rod will put your lights out, and he's a lot bigger. So,
yeah.
I'm very, very intrigued by this fight. Michael Gilmore versus Andre Petrovsky. Petrovsky is a CFFC veteran. He actually fought at the grappling show that we did, the professional grappling show. Actually, that's how it opened up. I was like, I know this is no Fury Pro Grappling, but it's a UFC fight. So I'm intrigued by that. What I thought was most interesting about this, obviously, both these guys did not make it to the finals. They came up short. Remember, Gilmore was the guy that stepped in on like a day's notice.
Yeah, super last minute.
They introduced us to him, and he was like cutting weight already. And so he came in, lost very quickly on the show, but he's getting another shot. I think that's cool. If you remember his story, remember that story is like he quit his job and moved to Vegas so he could be there just in case something happened.
Yeah.
And it paid off. It didn't work out for him on the show, but now he's getting an opportunity. I thought that. So I think it's cool he's getting another shot. I did find it intriguing that both these guys said, bro, we didn't hear about this fight until like 10 days ago, man.
That's crazy.
Like I thought maybe that they knew they they called us 10 days ago and like, can you make weight? So
you think they give them two fights when they do stuff like that?
Yeah,
that's got to be more than just a one and done.
I think
you would think that they would, even if they did something like that, you figured they would just like, take this one, do this for us. We'll get you another one when you get the full camp. You get whatever.
I actually spoke to somebody the other day. It's actually interesting. I hadn't thought about it, but it is something we're seeing a lot more. I had tweeted last week that I found out that Damian Maia was off the roster and Jimmy Rivera was off the roster. Both of them had completed their contracts. But I spoke to somebody at the UFC who said, honestly, right now, we're kind of just letting people fight out their contract. Like, we need so many bodies with all the visa issues and the COVID issues and all that. Like, they're not really cutting people. They're letting people just fight out their deal. So, yeah, to be honest with you,
especially I think knowing these guys, the Contender Series was coming. If they did like what they did last year, they were adding, sometimes it felt like 4 or 5 a show.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you possibly keep a roster under some sort of a limit, And
the matchmakers are all stressed out right now, dude, because it's like, I mean, you're having to put together 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 replacements every week.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
If anything, now it's, I guess, if that's like taking upon what now that it's sort of capitalized on last year, where it's like we were seeing guys get actively let go while the season was going.
Yeah.
So it seems the thing, if it's coming now, if the Contender Series is coming around, and you're at the end of your contract, this is probably what it's going to be like. They're just going to let you fight out.
Yep.
At this point, unless you're something where they're like, we can't live without this person, we have to keep you. This is probably what it's going to be when it comes around. So this is that time of the year I think folks are going to need to reevaluate, hey, when does my contract run up, and when does the Contender Series come around again?
So we have we talked about it on the broadcast last time, but and like I said, we just lost a main event that we had planned for October, which I'm happy because it should be announced in the next couple of days who it was. Is signed, and it's somebody that deserves to be on the Contender Series for sure. But I think that brings it up to now 8 fighters off the CFFC roster that are on upcoming Contender Series. I mean, they're pillaging the prospects right now, man. It's tough. There's a lot going on right now. So we'll see how that one plays out. And then the main card kicks off with Gerald Mirshar versus Mahmoud Muradoff. Muradoff has come in and looked impressive, man. 2 performance bonuses already. He's on an extensive winning streak. I like the dude, by the way. He's got a good spirit, man. Fighting out of Uzbekistan, he kind of joked about the fact that he's starting a promotion over there. He's kind of like a Uzbeki Dana White, is what he said. But he's the one. Mahmoud Muradoff, if you remember, he's the one that kind of randomly signed with the money team. He's represented by Floyd Mayweather's team, and we were like, how the hell did that happen? But he's talked about it since, and he's looked every bit the part of top prospect. But Gerald Mirshar, a guy with 46 professional fights, a guy that is not afraid to fight anybody. Obviously, he took on the Hamzat challenge when that didn't work out for him very well, but he was not afraid to do it. And I love it that he said, "Look, man, I am going to be 6 inches away from this dude's face from the time this thing starts until it ends. Like we're going to be super, super aggressive." So that I think that
he does that, it's going to end pretty quick.
I know. One way or the other. So listen, some other things. The prelims, Abdulrazak Al-Hassan is in desperate need of a victory right now, man. He's had a rough go since he came back. He's facing Alessio De Chirico. You see Sam Alvey's on there. You got Dustin Jacoby against Darren Stewart in there. J.J. Aldrich got a late replacement of Vanessa Demopoulos. One that I'm going to be tuned into, former CFSC champ Pat Sabatini is facing Jamal Emmers. That's a great fight, and it kicks off with Guido Connetti versus Mana Martinez. So as you said, we're not getting any next title contenders out of this card, but I think it could be an entertaining one, and obviously we'll be covering it, so we'll be watching it. But I think it's look, it's good fights, man. It's a good weekend. It's another weekend, and I know too many fights, too many whatever. I get you don't have to watch everything, but I love the fact that there's options. Friday night, man, we got PFL, and that's in addition to there's also Invicta, there's also LFA, so you got two in there. But you got the $1 million semifinals on Friday night. Then Saturday we got this UFC card, the Ultimate Fighter finale, an incredible main event, and then Sunday we can tune into the boxing match, the Bad Blood boxing match.
I'm telling you,
we're gonna have full coverage at MMA Junkie, so we'll all of us on site, man. But what other team? No other outlet out there can give you that. I don't pat us on the back enough sometimes. I'm gonna pat MMA Junkie on the back right now. I'm gonna say, if you don't have your vote in for World MMA Awards, tell me what other media outlet is gonna bring you live on-site coverage from the PFL, UFC, and Paul versus Woodley all this weekend. Because you know what? There's only one, and it's MMA Junkie. Just throwing it out there. I don't pat us on the back enough. I'm going to pat us on the back.
That was a promo you just threw down right there.
While you're there, if you want to vote for Journalist of the Year, John Morgan, I wouldn't hate that as well. Just throw it in there. But at least get the vote for the team, MMA Junkie. And again, as I always say every week, if you like this show, do us a favor. Take a second. Log in, rate, review us. Give us some feedback. Apple Podcasts is where I listen. But anywhere you listen, leave us some feedback, man. We always appreciate that. And if you want to take it up to the next level and support the show, man, we got nothing but love for everybody that steps over at patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow to help support the show for as little as $3 a month. You can help us out, keep the lights on. There are some costs associated with this highly entertaining podcast, but we give you exclusive access to the and a half episodes. I mean, so that's worth it right there in itself. Yep. But even if you don't care about the and a half and you just want to support us, you can just support us. You can just say, hey, I appreciate you and what you guys do to bring me mixed martial arts themed entertainment every week.
And then if you want to be one of the few sick bastards out there that are still waiting for the nudies, I love you, but those will probably never happen unless I'm really, really drunk and you don't want to see this.
You know what I said I was going to post and I didn't post it.
You will stab your eyes out after seeing this.
I was going to post a picture of my leg that you took last week of all
you didn't post it?
I didn't put it on there because I thought it might just gross people the hell out, dude.
Well, if they want nudies, they'd be okay. I think with their mosquito-ridden legs, they were pretty bad though.
By the way, my legs are healthier this week. Thankfully,
you were chewed the fuck up.
Fully recovered.
You were chewed the fuck up. So one last one about this prelim card, because I can see a lot of people maybe want to almost skip the prelim card and just watch the main card. There are some really good ones, but only one fight I want to ask, see what your pick, because we've been picking a lot of ones. Do you think this is the fight that Sam Alvey lands in the win column, possibly?
Oh, dude, Sam Alvey, man, what a great guy.
He needs a win.
He is in desperate need of a win. Him and Abdulrazak Al-Hassan, but Sam Alvey, I would say probably even more. Those two guys, they gotta win.
Sam, they gotta win. And Sam for sure. If Sam doesn't win, I think he can't have too many more fights on. But I mean, he needs this win. But honestly, when I was looking at this, I looked at Wellington younger. I think he's got him in the reach, or maybe Sam's got him in a little reach. But for some reason, even though I think my gut's been wrong a lot because you've overtaken me and you went way the other way, and you're way up on the top.
Let's not talk about it.
I felt like this was a fight that Sam can win, and I felt like that was almost like they gave him a guy that they're like, all right, Sam's got to get a win. We're gonna give him one shot, and you never know with some of these cats, especially with like you're saying, like they're letting people fight out. He could get a win, and we might think everything's all good, and this could be the last fight. They might not still. I mean,
still might not renew his deal.
It's
right.
rough, but I picked Sam in that one.
Did you?
I did.
That one didn't get published because it was a prelim, but you picked Sam out.
I did pick Sam in that one.
That's a big one, man.
I know.
He's such a nice guy.
I know Turman's a fucking beast, but I'm just like,
but
dude,
he's had some setbacks as well.
This is one of those ones I think Sam could just walk for it and just maybe get lucky and land something, because he's tough as all get out. But so by the sounds of that, it sounds like you did not pick Albie in that one.
I didn't.
That's okay.
But I like him. By the way, how about the fact that we didn't even mention on the PFL? Since we're bringing up prelims that we didn't talk about. How about Jason Knight over at the PFL, man? Come on, dude.
I was like, when did they sign him? I thought he was going to be resigned to like the BKFC that's if we were going to see him. You got to turn on the BKFC. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Jason Knight's over there. Chris Camozzi versus Corey Hendricks. There's some decent fights in the prelims over there as well. So
good ones.
We'll see how that all plays out. But only one place gives you coverage. All three places. That's MMA Junkie. Go get your vote in for the World MMA Awards. Oh, the voting's still going on. I'm not even actually sure it is.
I have no idea.
But if it is, please go register. If it's not, sorry that I wasted your time. But yes, please go vote at the World MMA Awards. Anyway, it's a busy weekend. We'll have it all covered. We'll have the and a half for everybody over at patreon.com/the MMA Roadshow. I am going to go have dinner now with Rob Haydak from CFFC. He's actually in town.
Aren't you fancy?
Yeah, listen, man, he's in town to have some meetings, and so I'm hooking up with the boss over there to go
dinner.
To
that just drinks.
Yeah, probably so. Probably so.
More drinks than food.
Always enjoy hanging out with Rob, man. He's a good dude. I enjoy. Did you see? I posted on Instagram. You know, September 16th, CFFC 100. That'll be down in Tampa, Florida. That's why I'm gonna miss that September 18th show. I don't even know the whole details of this, but he posted like a custom whiskey bottle that was created with the CFFC 100 branding on it and all that. I posted on Instagram. I was like, you ever just feel like you work for the right boss? Like to commemorate CFFC 100, he got the custom whiskey bottle. So I'm hoping he's got a bottle with him tonight, and we can crack into that and see what it's all about. So anyway, that's what's going on with us. Busy weekend. We'll have you all covered. Like I said, Mike Bond's out there in Cleveland, Danny Segura in Florida. So if you want some on-site, make sure you follow them. If not, just keep it locked to MMA Junkie, where we'll have you all covered.
Yeah.
And we'll just say, thanks for listening.